There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. Order, honorable members. The Secretary will read the first order of the day.
Consideration of budgetary review and recommendation report of Portfolio Committee on Transport.
I now recognize the Honorable the Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the report be adopted by the House.
The motion is that the report be adopted. Are there any objections? There are objections. Are there any declarations? The DA?
Half of all the entities mentioned in this budget framework as key contingent liability risks are the responsibility of the Department of Transport, who could not table their report on time. Despite the attempt to reform the Road Accident Fund scheme in 2014, the RAF's finances has deteriorated rapidly. After implementation, the claim amounts declined from 58% to 26%, a major saving. And over the same period, the net fuel levy has increased by 14%. With increased income and reduced claims, this should have created a surplus, but this amendment did not benefit the fund. What happened with the money? And here's a clue. The operational expenditure went up by a third. Secondly, the dodgy e-tolls tender continues to financially cripple Sunrail, which is why it remains a liability risk. The politically paralyzed PRASA, yet again, received a commitment of 53 billion rands to fund new rolling stock and signalling equipment. Once again, we highlight the bad smell of weak expenditure controls and scrawny contract management capability, demonstrated best by the purchase of 70 toilet seats for 600,000 rands each. This, while our commuters are in desperate need for reliable, safe and clean trains. With fare revenue and ridership numbers in decline, bad leadership decisions and obvious poor judgment, this situation reminds me of a phrase in Shakespeare when King Richard cried out, a horse, my kingdom for a horse. Well, in this case, a train, my credibility for a train.
The EFF.
Thanks, House Chair. The EFF rejects this report because, number one, the committee has once again failed to listen to the workers and the people of Gauteng to scrap e-tolls. And the Minister of Transport, we wrote the letter to her, and she responded arrogantly by this week.
Honorable member at the podium, can you just hold there, please? Honorable members, there's too much noise. I don't know what the reason for the excitement is, but let's just quiet down a bit, please. Continue, honorable member.
Yes, we wrote a report to the Minister of Transport, and she responded in an arrogant way this week, in a clear indication that she is not listening to the people. This despite the unfailing and legitimate civil obedience by millions of motorists, whom as the EFF we support and encourage the motorists not to pay these e-tolls. Number two, the fact that the millions of rands were stolen at PRASA, and since 2010, the report of the Public Protector, forensic report by the National Treasury, and the investigation by the PRASA all shows clearly millions were stolen. Even the board members now, they're paying back the money which they stole through the board, unnecessary board meetings. All the mechanism to prevent and the wasteful expenditure and the demand, the department and the PRASA and Sunrail have completely collapsed. The CFO of the department has been moved from the department to the PRASA. The department is operating without the CFO. The tenders are awarded without following the procedure, and the money is paid for the work not done. The Auditor General is complaining. Rikogovea mapunga should clear for the department iko fail with its bada zote zina magod zina the fancy ngantano department hey iko tiko jia chalede mtelo zigule iko shuma. the strategies that arrive alive. Traffic officers are underpaid. There is no overtime for the traffic officer to cap the accident on our roads. As such, Jerusalem Zori, head department will fail. And the Zori, SAMSA, Euro register only 2 ships
Honourable
in their
member,
register.
your time has
and
now
as such,
expired.
we don't support this thing. We reject.
Thank you,
proudly
Honourable
reject
member.
this EFF.
The IFP.
House Chairperson, the IFP support the BRRR. Honorable Chairperson, the failure by the department to take action against the chairperson of PRASA, who continue to appear to untouchable because of his certain well-paid political connection, is a disgrace. The failure by this department to full scrap e-tolls in Gauteng is a disgrace. The failure by this department to stop underspending in the following programs: establishment of rain economic regulators, Moroto Development Corridor, National Rain Supply Strategy, and a tax recapitalization model is a disgrace, Chair. 123 million in electoral expenditure, 1.4 million in fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and a quality audit opinion is a disgrace. The department also has many vacant positions, which include 5 DDG positions. Chairperson, holiday season is upon us, and we hope that the department is already commencing its arrival alive. Campaigning as this forms a critical component of important part of the Department of Transport road traffic safety project. Drunk and reckless driving, overrouting of vehicles, and unworthy vehicles are necessary dangers that road users faces on a daily basis on South African roads. The department must continue to work closely with traffic in order to eradicate such danger from our roads. I thank you, Chair.
The NFP.
Thank you, Honourable House Chair. The National Freedom Party notes with concern that the department has received a financial qualified audit opinion and that the portfolio's overall financial management and compliance outcomes have regressed. This regression is an indication of poor financial management. The unusually long list of recommendations made by the Auditor General should be a loud and clear alarm bell for the department. Urgent attention must be paid to the financial status of the Road Accident Fund, and the department must make every effort possible to ensure that the fund is able to meet its future obligations. The National Freedom Party also believes that the department must take urgent steps to strengthen its oversight function at PRASA. We are appalled at the recent report of the Auditor General that PRASA has incurred 13.9 billion in irregular expenditure, which highlights the lack of effective oversight. However, the appointment of the acting CFO, who appears to be very impressive and who has already identified some of the challenges in PRASA, must be welcomed, and I think he deserves the support. The National Freedom Party supports the various observations and recommendations made by the Portfolio Committee on table here today. In particular, we would like to see the department continue with its commendable undertaking to invest in rural transport infrastructure. We believe that an efficient rural transport infrastructure will encourage business development in the rural areas and contribute towards efforts to stem the escalating rate of urbanization. To conclude, the National Freedom Party supports the report.
Are there any further declarations? The ANC.
Chairperson, honorable members, singakukhohlwa ukuthi la eMzansi Afrika kunabantu abasafarisha nge-verbal diarrhea. Kunabaholi not long ago bebathi uma kukhulunywa ngezinto ze-e-toil bazoyikhipha bayikhiphe ngezandla bazilahlele, but akukenzekalanga since then. Bese ngiyaqhubeka. While the department received a qualified audit outcome, the committee noted the impact that the reserve, it's not necessary to know me. It's not necessary. Impact that the reserve judgment on the electronic national traffic information system matters had on the audit outcome of the department. The committee also noted with concern that had the AXA regulations and auditing requirements taken the effect of reserved judgments regarding assets into account, the department would have, in all likelihood, receive an unqualified audit opinion as it had done in the previous 9 years. The committee observed the number of vacancies in the department and entities and noted that the reason for this provided by the department was that it resulted out of the directive by the National Treasury in line with the latter's austerity measures. The committee further noted impact this had on the ability of the department and its entities to fulfill their mandates. The committee therefore recommends that the department continues engagement with National Treasury with regard to the filling of critical posts at the department and its entity. In this regard, some of the key vacancies that need to be filled urgently
Honourable
are those
Member,
of
your
the
time
5
is now
deputy
expired.
directors. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honourable members, I put the motion again. Are there any objections? There are objections. I put the question. Those in favour will say aye. Those against will say no. The ayes have it.
We're calling for a division.
A division having been called, the bells will be rung for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Order, honorable members. Will you take up your allocated seats, please? Order, honorable members. Yes, honorable member, why are you rising?
Chairperson, we can't delay the business of the House because we are waiting for ANC members. The bells ringing in this House is part of our rules. And you are delaying there as the House chairperson because you want ANC members to be called from all the shebeens surrounding this House.
Honorable
They
member.
were not in attendance.
Will
No,
you-
it's wrong,
will you
chairperson.
take your seat,
Can I
please?
finish my order? Can I finish my order?
No, honorable member.
You've rang the bells for more than 5 minutes. It's out of order.
Take your seat, honorable member.
It's out of order.
Take your seat. I'm switching off your mic now. Honorable members, I order. Order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members on both sides of the House. Order, honorable members. Order. The division that was called and the processes that was followed is in line with Rule 112, subsection 1. And that is what we have adhered to. Are all honorable members now in their allocated seats? When requested to do so, members must simply indicate their vote by pressing the appropriate button. And if a member inadvertently presses the wrong button, the member may thereafter press the correct button. The last button pressed will be recorded as the member's vote when the voting session is closed. Order, honorable members. The question before the House is that the budgetary review and recommendation report of the Portfolio Committee on Transport be approved. Are all members now in the allocated seats? Voting will now commence. Those in favor of the report should press the yes button. Those against should press the no button. And those wishing to abstain should press the abstain button. Have all members voted? Yes, honorable member.
I've made a mistake, Chairperson.
Okay, order. Honorable members, order. Honorable member, you may just press the button that you want to press as your vote and then the mistake will be corrected. Thank you. Order, honorable members. Order. You also made a mistake, honorable member?
Yeah, I pressed the wrong button this side. That is on what's not my seat.
Can you press the button that's allocated for under your name, honorable member, as your vote?
Yeah, it's done.
And we will then neutralize the other vote that you've pressed. It's normal to make mistakes, honorable members. It can happen to anyone. Honorable members, have all of you voted now? The voting session is now closed. Honorable members, the result of the division is as follows. Those in favor, 233. Those against, 17. There's no abstentions. And the question is thus agreed to. The Secretary will read the second order.
Before that, Honorable House Chairperson,
Why are you rising, honorable member?
I want to rise in terms of 112 because this is important. We must not be taken advantage of. I want to read this out and please your indulgence, Honorable Chairperson. This rule says if the required number of members supports the demand for a division, the division bell must be rung and the doors must be barred as soon after the lapse of 5 minutes, as the presiding officer may direct. And you took more than 5 minutes.
Honorable member, take your seat.
Can I finish?
No, take
But
your
why
seat,
can't
honorable
I
member.
speak in this house?
No, you've raised exactly the same point.
But why can't you allow
I
me to finish?
pointed out the rule, and I now suggest you
But
take
you're
your seat.
allowing the bells to be rung for more than 5
I am
minutes.
now switching off your mic. Can you read the second order, please?
But on a point of order, Chair, House Chair.
What is the point of order, honorable member?
Yesterday we gave you a relatively better appraisal of your conduct as opposed to Mrs. Boroto and Betty. So you must not degenerate. You must run this house according to the rules. We're going to lodge a complaint against you for doing what you're doing now because it's inappropriate The ANC doesn't come to
Honorable-
Parliament.
Honorable
they hang
Shavambu.
around, they're not doing their work.
Honorable
So you
Shavambu,
must always respect the rules of this house. and not
Honorable
run it in a way
Shavambu,
that
will
favors
you
the
take your
ANC.
seat now,
It's
please?
wrong and
Thank you.
It's unacceptable. We're going to lodge a complaint against you.
Take your
We're going
seat,
to
please.
cry like the speaker cried yesterday.
Take your seat, please. Read the second order, Secretary.
Consideration of 2015.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Honorable member, will you take your seat
Okay.
until the secretary reads the second order? Honorable member, take your seat. The
Uphumzile uSpeaker
secretary is
uthi
busy
rubbish.
reading the second
Uthi
order.
rubbish lana, it's okay.
Take your seat, please.
Rubbish is okay, yeah.
Honorable member, take your seat. The secretary is busy reading
rubbish
an
is
order.
okay,
You
yeah.
can't just jump up and raise a point of order. I've not even recognized you. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, I want to appeal to both sides of the House. Let us conduct the business of our House in a respectful manner. That is important to uphold the decorum of the House. If we continue in this vein, it will virtually be impossible to proceed in taking decisions in the House. Honorable member, I've ruled that the secretary will read the second order, and he will do so now, and thereafter, if you have a different point of order, then you can raise it. The secretary will read the second order.
Consideration of 2015-16 budgetary review and recommendation report of Portfolio Committee on Public Works on the performance of the National Department of Public Works, the property management rating entity, and entities reporting to the Minister of Public Works.
Yes, honorable member, why are you rising?
An open of order.
In terms of which rule?
Honorable Chairperson, our member rises to bring to your attention that on the other side of the House, people are shouting rubbish. She asks you, is it parliamentary for people to shout on top of their voices rubbish? We were just being scolded by the speaker 2 days ago for just shouting, let alone what were we shouting about. The point of member rises to bring to your attention that members are singing rubbish that side to all of us this side. Is it parliamentary or not? Can you please rule, because we don't want to degenerate. We were trying to tell you, we come on time.
Thank you, honorable member.
And then we're going to be told rubbish by people who hang around here not doing their job.
You've made your point. Honorable member, let me first order. Order, honorable member. You may take your seat, honorable member. Honorable members. Honorable members. Order, honorable member. Honorable members, let us read the rules. Once the presiding officer has requested for an order to be read, it will be read. No member can then jump up in the middle of that without having been recognized and simply continue with a point of order. That was the point I was making. And thereafter, I said to the honorable member that the secretary will read the order and then we will recognize if there's a point of order. However, I do recognize the point that you're raising, honorable member, and I will request members in the House to refrain from referring to each other in derogatory terms. It is unacceptable. I now recognize the Honorable, the Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
Thank you, House Chair. Again, I move that this report be adopted.
Order, honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable Chief Whip, may I ask the Chief Whips in the House to assist us with their members? Will you assist us, Chief Whip, so that we can get on with the business of the House? Order. The motion is that the report be adopted. Are there any objections? There are objections. I put the question. Those in favor will say aye, and those against will say no. I think the ayes have it.
Honourable House Chair, the DA would like to make a declaration.
The DA want to make a declaration? And the EFF, and the IFP, NFP, UDM.
Thank you, House Chair. Currently, the Department of Public Works is still under the biggest cloud of corruption scandal. According to the Auditor General and the Public Protector report and the Constitutional Court of South Africa, There are serious allegations of maladministration, irregular procurement processes, and wasteful expenditure. Because of Nkandla, Honorable Minister, if we have forgotten so quickly, we believe that the department still has to work hard to restore its integrity. Despite all those challenges, the DA acknowledged some improvement within the department, but we also want to register our concern with regard to the Program 4, that is Property and Construction Industry Policy and Research. The main objective of the program is to regulate and transform the construction and property industry, and 3.7 billion is allocated for this program. This amounts to 59% of the total budget of the department. But since 2014, the department's strategic plan and the annual performance plan indicated that they will review the department white paper and assess their continued relevance in realizing the government national priority, and also to develop new policy objectives to address the development in the local and the global environment in which the department is operating. But for the past two financial years, this target was never achieved. It is sad to realize that the same 7 targets as indicated in the APP for 2015-2016 still were not achieved, and the department still spends 3.7 billion and having the vacancy rate of 17.16%. Currently in South Africa, the construction and property industry, it is not well regulated and is not transformed. But the question is why the department is dragging its feet to change the situation. With regard to the Independent Development Trust, since its establishment in 1990, it has many challenges regarding the leadership. They've lost critical staff, especially in finance. That resulted that the last 2 financial years,
Member, your
they held
time
a
is now
disclaimer.
expired.
But we want the department to make sure that it do oversight on its part.
Thank you. The EFF.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the Minister and the Portfolio Committee, they know that we'll never support this report on the basis of the poor and dismal performance of the public works entities, especially the IDT. It is extremely concerning that such a critical institution with important developmental mandate does not have appropriate structures. This is an institution that is supposed to lead the government to deliver such needs, social infrastructure such as schools, clinics, libraries, sanitation and water infrastructure. We are equally concerned that while it is clear that this entity is failing to deliver on its mandate with losing such key staff, especially on the finance, that is why it's always reporting losses each and every financial year. A sustainable solution to challenges facing IDT is that the department must consider what the EFF has been proposing, that we must produce and then we must put a construction company that is owned by the state, because that is the only way we're going to be able to deliver permanent jobs, not these things of EBWP projects and jobs that are only designed to fund ANC branches. So until the department listens, there is no way we can support this through BR report. And always, again, we still got an issue of a 20 billion project what was given to a construction company called WBHO, which was involved in collusion on the 2010 projects that the minister is trying to shift to the state of South Africa. Minister, you are the custodian of all government offices. So there is no way you're going to shift that responsibility. It sits within your department, and we demand answers. How come a corrupt company was given a 20 billion project for only giving the state 800 million? What kind of a loan and a funding is that? So until you give us those answers, we'll never support any report that comes from your office, because it's corrupt and it's directionless. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The IFP.
Honorable House Chair, the failure of this department to achieve its transformation goals into office entities, the CPE and the CIDP, is unacceptable. We remain extremely concerned about gender and racially appropriate professional legislation in the built environment. The IDT disclaimer received for past 2 consecutive years is unacceptable. The failure of CPD to address high staff turnover of top and senior management leaves a lot to be designed and will inevitably cause more challenge to the department achievement of its strategic objectives. This must be resolved urgently. The department remains plagued by many instances of irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. The department also seems to have no regard for the small businessmen and women that has subcontractors. And it is one of the national department that has a very poor record for paying its account within the stipulated 30 days time period. EPW, which was a good program to begin with as it sought to provide an avenue for skill development for our poor and most vulnerable to find gainful employment by providing a variety of job opportunities, now in a state of dysfunctional. How many jobs has this program really created? When one's looking to account the inconsistency regarding data being inaccurate, invalid, and incomplete. In some instances, people who have passed away have been cited as beneficiaries, and there are other possible indications of fraud being perpetrated with incorrect ID numbers and certainly beneficiaries that remain unverified. The IFP do support the BIII report. I thank you.
The UDM.
The UDM supports the report insofar as it exposes the rot that is characterized by deep-seated maladministration in the Department of Public Works and, by extension, the entire ANC government. The Department of Public Works is a heaven of irregular, reckless, fruitless, and unauthorized expenditures of the public monies that are intended to improve the socio-economic conditions of the most vulnerable of our population. One could not have expected less from a department that is capacity void in the risk management and internal audit sections. These are strategic support functions created to assist the department in order to discharge its constitutional responsibility in a better way than it is currently doing. As a result of this irregular expenditure and financial transgressions, the department has done the right thing to invite the expertise of the SIU to uproot the element of criminality that's so rampant in the department. In the midst of a tough economic climate confronting our country today, and notwithstanding government directives, the department failed to pay all of its creditors within the 30-day period, paying only 85% of the invoices. It is sad to think of the suffering that visited those service providers that didn't get their money in time. The EPWP produced a paltry 11,000 work opportunities against the more than 8 million people who are unemployed. The Department of Basic Education's contribution to the poor performance of public works was its failure to provide the department with assessment reports in time. As a result, 774 schools couldn't be completed. Congratulations, Department of Basic Education. You have contributed to unemployment in the country. You continue to do it. Failure to recruit candidates for school beautification program kept 3,800 prospective employees out of work in this climate. In closing, further recommendations of what curative and corrective measures to be taken are in the report itself, and the UDM would love to see these recommendations, Honorable Minister, and your respectable
Honorable Member, your
deputy
time is
being
now
carried out.
expired.
Thank you.
Thank you. The AIC.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. AIC supports the PLENARY report. This Department of Public Works is a department with a difference for the fact that now it gives accommodation to other sister departments. And it has got a mandate now to provide construction, maintenance, and manage the government property. We appreciate the job opportunities that have created by this department, hoping now that the earnings that are being received by the EPW employees will be increased. This department should, however, put pressure on the officials and its entities to submit earlier the documents that are required for auditing before the MTBBS. The turnaround strategy that has been embarked upon by this department seems to be yielding some good results. Of course, we do appreciate now the 99% expenditure on the part of this department. It means that a lot of work is being done by this very department. We would like to see the filling of the vacancies that exist so that now this can be a contribution to unemployment. We reduce the unemployment. One of the challenges is the irregular expenditure that should be guarded against. The second year of unqualified audit report opinion is also appreciated. We do support this tribunal report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The NFP.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. The National Freedom Party supports the BRRR report tabled here today. Allow me also to acknowledge and commend the department on having spent 99% of its budget from a previous 98% in the previous financial year. Some of the concerns, Honorable Chairperson, the department's assurance that it will deliver a review policy text in respect of Program 4 did not materialize. The targeted 3,870 jobs for the school beautification program also did not materialize. Honorable Chairperson, some of the surplus freehold residential properties that were supposed to have been let out in, what, about 500, only I think 7 of them were, so the National Freedom Party wants it to express its concern. We welcome the disciplinary process initiated by the department, wherein in all 7 out of 7 cases that were reported, disciplinary processes are in place. So that is actually augurs well for the department. We urge the Minister, in terms of the recommendations that are made and the challenges that the department face, to look very seriously into that, to try and address these challenges. And in terms of the irregular expenditure, which we feel there's a reduction in the irregular expenditure, but even though there's a reduction in the irregular expenditure, the National Freedom Party believes irregular expenditure, unless in absolutely necessary cases, must be eradicated. But we also want to acknowledge that the department has made great progress in that it has achieved or exceeded its targets in many of the aspects. So the National Freedom Party, in light of that, will support us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The ANC.
Honourable House Chairperson, the African National Congress supports the BRRR. The African National Congress commends the Minister, Deputy Minister, the Department of Public Works and the PMT for the progress made in stabilizing the department and in operationalizing the PMT. It shows that the turnaround strategy that Minister Nessie announced in 2012 has had a positive effect on the way that the department does its work. It shows that the department has turned the corner and is on the road that is very different from the past, a road on which there are still challenges and problems, but there are fewer instances of mismanagement. The department established important structures such as the governance, risk, and compliance branch. This ensures that financial performance management is exercised and possible, and I hope the Honourable Dlamini listens, and possible corrupt activities are identified before it can occur. The instances from the past where corruption took place has been handed over to the SIU, and those investigations are continuing. It cannot be said that there has not been improvement. This committee recognizes these improvements. The other significant improvement is the operationalism of the PMT, with this entity in operation and highly qualified property specialists managing government property and ensuring that its value is invested. The committee is looking forward to the DPWP soon showing how it can turn the property portfolio into proper use for the people of this country. But this also allows the DPWP to play its proper role of regulating and monitoring transformation in the built environment and construction industry. The matter of transformation is important. The built environment and construction sector is one that stretches across the boundary of government and private business. It is crucial to note that the one cannot exist without the other. Chairperson, the Portfolio Committee will monitor the department.
Honourable Member, your time has expired.
The ANC supports the BRRR.
Honourable Members, I put the motion again. Are there any objections? There is an objection.
Chairperson, I want to check numbers here. We want to call for the division.
There's been a request for a division and the bells will be rung for 5 minutes. Order, honorable members. I would like to remind members that they may only vote from their allocated seats, and when requested to do so, members must simply indicate their vote by pressing the appropriate button. If a member inadvertently presses the wrong button, the member may thereafter press the correct button. The last button pressed will be recorded as the member's vote when the voting session is closed. The question before the House is that the 2015-2016 Budgetary Review and Recommendation Report of the Portfolio Committee on Public Works on the performance of the National Department of Public Works, the Property Management Trading Entity, and entities reporting to the Minister of Public Works be approved. Are all members in their allocated seats? Voting will now commence. Those in favor of the report should press the yes button. Those against the report should press the no button, and those wishing to abstain should press the abstain button. Have all members voted? The voting session is now closed. Honorable members, the outcome of the division is as follows. Those in favor 238, those against 16, and there are 2 abstentions. The question is accordingly agreed to. The Secretary will read the third order.
Consideration of request for permission in terms of Rule 286 to inquire into amending other provisions of the Administrative Adjudication of Road Traffic Offences Act 1998, Act number 46 of 1998.
Are there any objections to the committee being granted permission in terms of Rule 286, paragraph 4, subsection C, to inquire into amending other provisions of the Administrative Adjudication of Road Traffic Offences Act? There are objections, and there are also requests for declarations. The DA?
Thank you, House Chair. In its annual global status report on road safety, the World Health Organization indicates that South Africa lost 13,802 lives on our roads in 2015. With previous research results from the WHO indicating no real improvement in road carnage and crashes, a lot of trust is placed on ARTO to change this behavior. Whilst undertaking public consultations on the Administrative Adjudication of Road Traffic Offences Amendment Bill, the Portfolio Committee concluded that the ARTO Act needed to be amended. This item thus seeks permission to amend the ARTO Act. Amending this bill and its principal act is a unique opportunity for us to make a difference in improving the terrible road safety situation in South Africa, considering that we have one of the worst in the world. This will also be an added opportunity for another round of when the public and stakeholders will be consulted. The previous round of public consultations proved to be most useful, where aspects that previously were not highlighted came to the fore during these consultations. If the work we're attempting to do here on the bill and the act will make even a marginal improvement, then this is a no-brainer. This needs to be supported. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The EFF.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Yeah, the EFF also support the request by the committee. However, this is because of the inefficiency of the Department of Transport not taking the life of the people serious. For such an important bill, the committee must call on all relevant stakeholders to come and make submission. Given that the bill has been with the committee for almost a year, the committee must prioritize to finalize this bill. Honorable Chair, we are equally concerned about the scope and the scale in terms of the pilot training to the traffic officials and the issuing officers. Mostly the pilot project was done only in Johannesburg Municipality, Metro and Tshwane. And we are also having the concern about the rural municipality which are not taking on board. Municipality like Musina, Lipalale, and Matsimahulu, Governbeki, and all the municipalities in the rural areas, KZN, Mpumalanga, and the Eastern Cape. So we call again that before the committee finalizes the bill, we must satisfy ourselves as a committee that indeed the RTR is ready. Minister, we are happy because you are around here, but you must also try to condemn what the RTR did. The RTR advertised the tender of pilot project of these processes while the bill is still in process. This shows that why must they advertise a tender while the bill is still in the process of parliament? We have concern. Why are they doing that? This shows the tendency of corrupt activity on the RTR management. And we call upon that all that money spent for advertisement must be paid by the RTR board members and the accounting officers, because those are wasteful expenditure which we need people to pay, so that they must know that as times go on, they must just do as they are wished.
Honourable Member, your time is now expired.
Support. Thank you.
Thank you. The IFP.
Honorable Chairperson, we do support the bill. But there are some major concerns with this amendment bill, mostly notable around the electronic system of notice fine as appropriate method of services and communication for traffic infringement. There are a multitude of reasons as to why this form of service is impractical, and this will also open the process up to more administration and greater challenges. In correct numbers, data outage, phone being lost or disconnected will wreak havoc in the system. The system will also open itself up to abuse by confidence, tricksters and the scam artists, and through the use of cellular transmission of services of process. Constitutionally challenged in the respect of lawfulness of the service of process is another compound aspect. The IFP do support the bill, the amendment of this bill. I thank you.
The ANC.
Thank you, Chairperson of the House, honorable members and ministers. The African National Congress is a responsible party. Government of today believes with the interaction and consultation of community in the lawmaking process. Believe that in terms of the Constitution, that it's important to have a participation by public in the lawmaking process. Having considered this amendment bill, ARTO bill, we have realized that much issues have been raised that go beyond the scope of the current amendment bill that has been published. And therefore, we require to deal with the principal act in terms of scope, in terms of infringement, how you deal with apportionment of infringement into the bill, and therefore this requires a new kind of engagement with community. Hence, we suggested that we need to ask for the extension of time, particularly on 4 issues. The critical question of the demerit system that has been raised. SALGA has been raising that particular question. The issue of suspension of the driver's license, the issue of removal of the disc immobilization of the motor vehicle, the issue about tribunal, bringing tribunal into the bill, as well as the issues around the suspension of driver's license for a period of 6 months, and more importantly, the rehabilitation program that has to be introduced for those offenders or serial or repeat offenders in terms of the traffic offenses, that they should go through a process of rehabilitation. Therefore, we felt that it's important that we come to the Parliament and ask for extension in order to have a comprehensive relook at the principal act. Thank you very much. We support the process.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I put the question again. Are there any objections? There's no objections, and the question is agreed to. We will now take the 4th and 5th orders together as they appear on the order paper. These are requests for approval by Parliament of international agreements on telecommunication in terms of Section 231, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution. Are there any objections to the approval of the International Telecommunications Regulations 2012 as it appears on the order paper? There are objections. I put the question. Those in favor will say aye, and those against will say no. I think the ayes have it.
House Chair, the DA would like to make a declaration, please.
The DA?
On the face of it, the regulations in the International Telecommunications Regulations Treaty are technical in nature. The preamble to the treaty includes an important paragraph. Member states affirm their commitment to implement these regulations in a manner that respects and upholds their human rights. And therein lies the problem for South Africa. Our human rights record is dodgy. The controversy at the Dubai talks last December focused on the late inclusion of Article 5B, the prevention of propagating unsolicited bulk electronic communications, or spam. For governments to control spam, they need to have insight into the email's content, and this clause could give them the right to censor information and stop its distribution. Internet governance activists in South Africa joined their international colleagues in saying that governments have no role to play in the content of communications and their distribution. Last year, South Africa signed a seemingly benign ICT pact with China, a world leader in the suppression of internet access and cyber espionage. Yet the signatures on this document were redacted for security reasons. Why? In July, South Africa voted against the United Nations Human Rights Council resolution that commits member states to protect human rights, such as freedom of expression and privacy on the internet. It rejected this resolution because, in the words of our permanent representative to the UN office in Geneva, the exercise of the right to freedom of opinion and expression is not absolute and carries with it duties and responsibilities for right holders. South African watchdogs on our government's infringements of human rights now have a watching brief on any creeping encroachments to internet freedoms that the ratification of this treaty hands to our government.
The EFF?
Thanks, Chairperson. The Economic Freedom Fighters welcomes the opportunities for expanded connectivity with the rest of the world that the approval of the International Communications Regulations of 2012 and the World Radio Communications Conference 2015 Final Acts will provide. The International Telecommunication Regulations will serve as the binding global treaty designed to facilitate international interconnection and interoperability, as well as ensuring their efficiency and widespread public usefulness and availability. The World Radio Communications Conference of 2015 met, as it does always every 4 years, and the 2015 conference resolved, amongst other things, to give power to revise the radio regulations and any associated frequency assignment and allotment plans. Any radio communication matter of worldwide character, instruct the Radio Regulation Board and the Radio Communication Bureau and review their activities. Both these reports are of a progressive nature and connect South Africa to the rest of the world as far as telecommunications is concerned. Despite that, South Africa currently has no capacity to ensure that sensitive information relating to the country's security and development prospects is kept safe. Our intelligence services has been reduced to being Zumas and Mahlobos Omantshinglane and have no clue that what threats there are to the country's security. Despite this, the EFF approves this
Honourable
report.
Member,
Thank you.
what is the point of order, Honourable Member?
The honourable member has, I rise on rule number 82, and the honourable member has said the names of President Zuma and the Minister Mahlobo without acknowledging them as honourable members.
Honourable members, the honourable member has now left the podium, Honourable Member, but I want to remind honourable members that we refer to each other in a respectful way. Why are you rising, honorable member?
I rise on Rule 92. The member is out of order. The member that has spoken there
honorable member,
made
you
reference
can't rule.
to the group of Zoomers and Maltobos.
You
So
can't-
there is no one who's a group of Zoomers
You
and
can't rule
Maltobos.
another member
That's the
out
point
of
I'm
order.
making. Thank you very much.
Take your seat, honorable member. Take your seat. The NFP.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. The revised international telecommunications regulations have laid the basis for the improved provision of quality telecommunication services globally. It also lays the foundation for international cooperation in infrastructure provision and in key areas such as security of telecommunication networks. In the era of electronic communication and global digitalization, it is the best interest of South Africa to ratify this international agreement, particularly so since the international telecommunications regulations are aligned to the National Development Plan. The National Freedom Party believes that effective electronic communication capacity could be a driver of economic growth and promote greater inclusion through the development of a stronger broadband and telecommunications network and lower prices. Another reason why it is imperative that South Africa ratify the international telecommunications regulation is that it will enable us to standardize and coordinate efforts at attaining an acceptable level of cyber security. As electronic telecommunications improve and ensure greater global inclusivity, so does the need increase for cyber security to secure our national network. The National Freedom Party also supports the ratification of the World Radio Communications Conference 2015. Key issues adopted at the conference include the allocation of new spectrum for mobile broadband, studies to support international standards for the Internet of Things, programs to support small satellite networks. Of particular importance for South Africa's ratification of the conference is that the implementation of the provisions contained in the agreement will pave the way for the offering of mobile broadband at an affordable price in unreserved areas. In addition, it will bring significant additional resources
Honorable member,
in areas where demand
your time
is
is
already
now
very
expired.
high. The National Freedom Party supports this initiative.
The ANC.
Thank you, Chairperson. The International Communication Regulation, ATRs 2012, are aligned to the National Development Plan. This indicates consistency in planning and implementation. The strengthening of broadband and telecommunications network would greatly contribute to the economic growth, and at the same time, the cost to communicate must always be nurtured to make life better for all, especially consumers who are the ultimate users of all products. The promotion of measures to prevent double taxation for international services will increase the productivity of SMMEs, which are known to be contributing greatly to job creation. If you read through the documents, you'll notice the leading role played by South Africa internationally, not only in telecommunications, but in many areas of socio-economic development. This has brought back the image and dignity of the country, considering the historical isolation of South Africa internationally. The allocation of spectrum is another area of extreme importance. It supports a number of key areas, such as aircraft services, environmental public protection, and disaster relief, like the floods we recently encountered in Gauteng province, whereby all sorts of emergency and security services were needed. A positive consideration and approval of the ATRs 2012 and the World Radio Conference 15 ratification will enable government to fast-track connectivity technology, which will ultimately benefit the business community as well as various communities in general. It will save on travel costs and time to meet their counterparts, thus enhancing the ability to contribute in the economic growth and social development and reducing the scourge of poverty. Over and above, it will attract more investment. We can do much better if we can research and read documents and not apply outdated general knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Members, I put the motion again. Are there any objections? You may raise that objection. I've asked the question already.
Chair, if I may get clarity, are we putting the two items separately or together?
We deal with it separately.
Okay, so we call for a division on item 4. Thank you.
A division having been called, the bells will be rung for 5 minutes. Order. I would like to remind members that they may only vote from their allocated seats, and when requested to do so, must simply indicate their vote by pressing the appropriate button. If a member inadvertently presses the wrong button, the member may thereafter press the correct button, and the last button pressed will be recorded as the member's vote when the voting session is closed. The question before the House is the approval, order, honorable members, is the approval of the International Telecommunications Regulations 2012 as it appears on the order paper. Are all members in their allocated seats? Voting will now commence. Those in favor should press the yes button. Those against should press the no button. And those wishing to abstain should press the abstain button. Have all members voted? The voting session is now closed. Order, honorable members. The outcome of the division is as follows. Those in favor, 171. Those against, 72. There's 5 abstentions, and the question is thus agreed to. Are there any objections to the approval of the World Radio Communications Conference 2015 final acts as it appears on the order paper? There's no objections, and the question is thus agreed to. The Secretary will read the 6th to the 9th orders together.
Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Higher Education and Training on roundtable discussion with student representative councils. Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Higher Education and Training on oversight visit to technical and vocational education and training colleges in Western Cape. Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Higher Education and Training on oversight visit to Western Cape. Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Higher Education and Training on oversight visit to Stellenbosch University.
I now recognize the Honorable the Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
Thank you, House Chair. I move that all orders read be adopted by this House.
The motion is that the reports be adopted. Are there any objections? There are objections. I put the question. Those in favor will say aye. Those against will say no. I think the ayes have it. And there's also a request for declarations. The DA.
Thank you, Chairperson. The Democratic Alliance supports the adoption of the 4 reports because they adequately identify the immense challenges that our universities and our colleges in particular are under, and has very good recommendations. Whether these recommendations are listened to, on the other hand, is a different question. There are 3 particular points that we'd like to raise as it pertains to the oversights that were done. The first being that when we went to the False Bay TVET College, we found, as we knew and as we recognized, ever since the TVET colleges were taken away from provinces and centralized under the Department of Higher Education and Training, there has not been a single cent put towards infrastructure for TVET colleges. Whereas previously the TVET college here in the Western Cape were receiving 8 million rand per annum from the Western Cape Education Department when they were still under a DA government. We also noted that still the ANC government refuses to fund BTEC students through the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, which is heavily impeding the progression of particularly poor black South Africans that want to enter academia. And lastly, as we enter the 16 days of activism tomorrow, this in Women's Month, particularly the bursary guidelines that affects TVET College NASFA students who live within 10 kilometers of colleges to not have access to a travel allowance, which has left many of particularly our female students that have to walk up to 10 kilometers home in the evenings open to abuse. The DA supports these reports, Chairperson. However, we believe that these recommendations must be implemented and not ignored, as has been done time and time again. Thank you.
Thank you. EFF.
House Chair, the EFF do not support these reports. But firstly, I would like to pay tribute to a fighter and a student, Bonginkosi Kanyile, who has spent 60 days today in custody and refused bail, who was part of the Fees Must Fall movement. The ANC government is no different from the Nationalist Party. How do you refuse a student? How do you condemn a student for more than 60 days in prison while he's due for exams? Firstly, on one report on the roundtables for student representative councils, the student representative councils in that meeting raised the same issues that have been raised by the Fees Must Fall movement. The department is incapable to listen to students because it is preoccupied with positions that will never be able to lift the higher education to another level. We continue to condemn police brutality in universities. It is not a weapon of peace, it is a weapon of war. You cannot have your young people brutalized at this age because they will tell a tale of bad stories about democracy. The TVET colleges in the Western Cape are just beautiful buildings. They are underfunded, lack of infrastructure, lack of student support, and as a result, the majority of them will obviously take the students through a year, but by the year end, the students will not succeed. And the ANC doesn't care. All it wants is a statistics in, but less out. We need to make sure that our students, when they choose TVET colleges, we need to put systems so that they too succeed. It's no use to introduce the system.
Your time has expired.
The Stellenbosch is one case
Thank you,
of
Honorable Member.
Afrikanerdom
Your time,
and lack of transformation.
your time has expired. Thank you. NFP.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. The National Freedom Party supports the report tabled here today. The National Freedom Party calls on the department to liaise with other stakeholders locally, but more importantly in different countries with specific skills shortages so that we could train more students and in doing so export our skills to these countries, reducing the high unemployment rate in South Africa. Irregular expenditure incurred by the Skills Fund of 28 million rand due to contravening the CIDB regulations must be condemned and consequences must follow for repeat offenders. Underspending in the National Skills Fund through not meeting targets must also be addressed. Future audit reports must include the throughput rate of all funded learners. Surplus funds must be reprioritized to support NSFAS for students' bursaries and loans. The National Freedom Party expresses concern at the living conditions of students at the Cape Town University of Technology. Also, the slow pace of transformation must be accelerated, and the time has come to demand that these universities and colleges comply. Further concern is the underqualified lecturers, which affects the success rate. In respect of the visit to the Stellenbosch University, a matter for concern is that the university has a staff complement of 78% of academic staff being white, and the majority of senior positions are filled by whites. The National Freedom Party calls on the university to prioritize the language policy and calls on government to increase its NSFAS funding. I thank you.
Thank you. ANC.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. As the ANC, of course, we would support all these reports. We support it because what is important out of these reports that are now before the House and enables us to take a decision on is in fact that these reports are now enabling us to agree that at the level of the oversight at the Stellenbosch University, that this House finally can now agree with us that what we ought to do at Stellenbosch is to ensure that the transformation can occur, that the staff complements must reflect the equity of the demographics at Stellenbosch, and that indeed the housing expansion at Stellenbosch, as well as the important dialogue on the language policy, can be attended to as asked for in our report. At the same time also, insofar as the Western Cape is concerned, we would now be able to implement the recommendation of the committee that speaks to the review of the formula of the colleges here in the Western Cape, as well as making sure that the discussion that we've had with the student representative councils, that open communication with students must be enabled, as our report is asked, but more so also, these reports are now asking this House to make sure that the recommendations we've asked to normalize the situations at the universities can occur also. We support these reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Order, honorable members. The motion is that the reports be adopted. Are there any objections? In light of the objections, I now put the questions. Those in favor of the reports being adopted will say aye. Those against will say no. I think the ayes have it. Do we have an objection that needs to be recorded? Please.
Please note the objection of the EFF.
The objection of the EFF is noted. Thank you.
No. We're calling for division. One free education on these reports to be included. Division.
Division having been called, the bells will be rung.
Call the people from
will
Saxon
be
World,
rung for
to come.
5 minutes. Thank you.
All of them, we have seen a clear division of EFF.
Shame. Order, honorable members. I just want to remind honorable members that they may only vote from their allocated seats. When requested to do so, members must simply indicate their vote by pressing the appropriate button below the yes, no, or abstain signs. If a member inadvertently presses the wrong button, the member may thereafter press the correct button. The last button pressed will be recorded as the member's vote when voting session is closed. The question before the House is the motion by the Chief Whip of the Majority Party that the reports of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education and Training be adopted. Are all members in their allocated seats? Voting will now commence. Those in favor of the motion should press the yes button. Those against should press the no button. Those wishing to abstain should press the abstain button. Have all members voted? Thank you. The voting session is now closed. Thank you. The results are as follows. Abstain 1, the noes 16, yes 216. Thus, the report is agreed to, or the reports are agreed to. Thank you. Thank you. Order, honorable members. The next item on the order paper is the member statements. Huh? Huh? So what did we do? That's the one we're doing now. Yeah, we are done. Member statements, the next item on the order paper. Does any member of the ANC wish to make a statement?
Chairperson.
Yeah?
Chairperson.
What were we dealing with? Oh, I asked him. We are now doing 10 to 12. Okay. Order, honorable members. Can I ask the secretary to read the next order?
Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Higher Education and Training on annual report 2014-15 on National Skills Fund and Construction Education and Training Authority. Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Higher Education and Training on second and third quarter performance report of Department of Higher Education and Training for 2015-16 financial year. Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Higher Education and Training on first quarter performance report of 2015-16 of Department of Higher Education and Training.
Thank you. The motion is that the reports be adopted. Are there any objections? I now recognize the Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
I fully agree with you, House Chair, that all these reports be adopted.
Thank you. I have realized that there is a request for declarations, the DA.
These reports are fine as far as reports go, and we support them. What they say happened actually did happen, but there are very deep problems reflected within them that are very disturbing. The reports are on the department itself and reveal a bureaucracy that is quite simply unable to fulfill the tasks it has been given to do, almost entirely for lack of money. While students' financial plight quite rightly takes center stage at the moment, and we're all looking for solutions to this problem, in fact, everything else in the Department of Higher Education is also underfunded. The department, for example, has been required to take on 30,000 additional staff over the past couple of years, all employees in the TVET colleges, which have moved to them from the provinces, with absolutely no additional funds for staff to manage them. The TVETs cannot be upgraded or further expanded for lack of money. Major developments in universities cannot be pursued for lack of money. And the Community Education and Training Initiative is floundering for lack of money. Both the Statistician General and the Treasury have issued reports recently which make it clear that higher education cannot carry on like this. The interim report into the fee-free crisis yesterday offered little hope that a genuine solution will be arrived at anytime soon. It's time to despair for the future of this sector and the 2 million students in it. Thank you.
Thank you. EFF.
House Chair, the National Skills Fund and the construction sector in particular have been at it for a long time. The National Skills Fund is just a slush fund for the ANC. It continues to do so many things that are unrelated to skills, and it continues to fund so many activities that seems to be promotional to skills instead of skills development. The construction sector has 36 reports of fraud every year. It's consistent. It is the CEO, it is the board, it is many other staff members, in particular in the senior echelons, who continues to steal. We have held several sessions with them. It looks like they are genuinely ANC. They don't listen. They've never changed. They've never shown any sign of improving. The rest of talking about the National Skills Fund is that we have so many problems in higher education. We need to systematically move the funds available in the National Skills Fund to the resources to support TVET colleges, to support the National Skills Finance, and make sure that the students who get into the higher education system succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. NFP.
Thank you, House Chair. The National Freedom Party supports the report tabled here today. However, Honourable Speaker, the National Chairperson, the National Freedom Party expresses deep concern at the pass rate of 1 out of 10 in the TVET colleges. And with 80% of this funding coming from government, the number of female artisans enrolling at TVET colleges is also a matter of concern given the skills shortage for artisans in the country. It must be explored to attract more female artisans. Funding for the students must be monitored to ensure that the most deserving learners benefit and that no learner is marginalized and or prevented from enrolling either due to outstanding fees or not being in a position to enroll due to their financial circumstances. Allow me to commend the department on exceeding its targets in critical areas, including the engineering sciences, natural sciences, education, amongst others, including the increase in higher education and undergraduate studies. Honourable Chairperson, the performance of the department, specifically in both the second and the third quarters, must be welcomed and must be commended. We call on the department to speed up the process of constructing more TVET colleges. And Honourable Chairperson, the National Freedom Party has also identified that the department seems to have been performing in line with its annual performance plan. The spending on examiners and moderators is, of course, a matter for concern. But the National Freedom Party believes that the department has performed exceptionally well under difficult circumstances. The National Freedom Party supports us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. ANC.
Thank you very much again, House Chair. Indeed, we support, as the ANC, all the different reports that are before you. We are absolutely confident that all the recommendations and observations that we have put in this report as a committee, we have absolute confidence that the ANC government will indeed heed the recommendations and take them in the serious way that we have put them. I secondly want to say, Honourable House Chair, that we reject with contempt that it deserved that the National Skill Fund is a slush fund for the African National Congress. Indeed, that can't be the case. If anyone has got anything that they want to, any evidence that they can produce, they know where to go to, other than using this platform to peddle untruths. We support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. The motion is that the reports be adopted. Are there any objections? No objections, agreed.
The objection from the EFF.
The objection from the EFF will be noted.
We are calling for a division.
Okay, the division having been called, the bells will be rung for 3 minutes. Yes. Order, honorable members. I would like to remind honorable members that they may only vote from their allocated seats. When requested to do so, members must simply indicate their vote by pressing the appropriate button below the yes, no, or abstain signs. If a member inadvertently presses the wrong button, the member may thereafter press the correct button. The last button pressed will be recorded as the member's vote when the voting session is closed. Order, honorable members. The question before the House is that the motions by the Chief Whip of the majority party that the reports of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education and Training be adopted. Are all members in their allocated seats? Voting will now commence. Those in favor of the motion should press the yes button. Those against should press the no button. Those wishing to abstain should press the abstain button. Have all the members voted? Thank you. The voting session is now closed. Thank you. The results are as follows. Abstain 1, noes 15, yes 209. The reports are duly agreed to. Thank you. The next item on the order paper, honorable members. The next item on the order paper is the member statements. Does any member of the ANC wish to make a statement? Let me start this side.
Thank you, Chairperson. The ANC believes that due to realize its priority of ensuring access to education, the state must continue to invest in the schools, both infrastructure rollout and the elimination of disparities where they exist. The new state-of-the-art school, Bungu Junior Secondary School in Libude, outside Mtata in the Eastern Cape, which replaces a mud school built by the community in 1959, is the practical sign of our government's commitment. The school boasts a computer and science laboratories, 11 classrooms, a grade R center, a resource center as well as multi-purpose center, and a nutrition center where the school serves learners with meals daily. Bungu Junior Secondary School is one of the 170 schools nationally that have been built as part of the ACD, and the Eastern Cape government, working with the national government, has already built more than 132 schools. The ANC government is serious about improving the quality of learning and teaching. I thank you.
Thank you. DA?
Thank you, Chair. The so-called Jobs for Cash report on the selling and buying of teaching posts is explicit that SATU corruption has flourished because of SATU's capture of our education system. Specifically, the report says SATU is in control of 6 out of the 9 provinces. It says that SATU uses coercion to control teachers, principals, and officials. It says that SATU pressurizes members to be militant unionists first and professional teachers second. It says that SATU uses cadre deployment to place its members in highly paid and influential government jobs. And it says that SATU operates with impunity because of its affiliation with the ANC. SATU is mentioned 694 times in the report. But yesterday in Portfolio Committee, Minister Motshekga told us that the report was not about SATU. And she refused to commit to taking action against SATU. So we can only conclude that SATU has captured Minister Motshekga as well. We call on her to find the political courage to take back the education system from SATU. The future of our children depends on it. I thank you.
Thank you. EFF?
Thank you, House Chair. The EFF is disturbed by maladministration and corruption in Greater Zanen municipality. RDP housing project started in 2004 in Ward 34 remain a construction site to this day. Houses were only built to slab level, but contractors were paid full amount and the project was considered a complete project. To this day, contractors are nowhere to be found. No one in the municipality has been held accountable, and no investigation was ever conducted to uncover this maladministration and corruption. It was only when the EFF Ward 34 in Greater Zanen municipality intervened that the municipality appointed another contractor to finish construction. And it was only then that the house of the late Mr. Ndahen Mdaga is now being finalized. Edward Matloma, Rotili Tswalo, Maxon Mongwe, Meg Musiamedi, and many others are still waiting for their houses 10 years later. It is only when the EFF take over government that our people will have decent houses, unlike the ANC government under the leadership of the corrupt thief Jacob Zuma, who failed to uphold, defend, and respect the Constitution of the Republic, which is the supreme law of our country. Thank you.
Order, honorable member. Honorable Inkosi Mandela.
Honorable member has just referred to the president as a thief.
Honorable member, according to Rule 82, we cannot call a member of this House a thief. And secondly, you did not acknowledge his dignity by either calling him Mr. or Honorable Zuma. Will you please withdraw those remarks?
Withdraw the truth.
On a point of
To
order.
withdraw the truth that the people of Greater Zanen do not have houses.
Honorable member.
Because of the
Honorable,
Greater Zanen municipality.
Honorable
I'm not
member.
going to withdraw this truth. I'm not going to withdraw.
Honorable member,
Never.
please sit.
The people don't have houses
Please,
there.
please let me. I'm not talking about the content of your.
No, what are you
of
talking
your-
about?
I'm talking about the referral of the president of the
You
country.
are sitting here stealing from the poor.
As a
Instead
thief.
of servicing the people,
Honorable
you are
member,
servicing your pockets.
I'm not going to
withdraw.
allow that, and
I
I'm
will
going to
never
ask
withdraw.
you to withdraw.
No, I'm not going to withdraw.
Order, Chairperson.
Honorable member, honorable member, please.
You want us to
I'm still
withdraw.
talking
Can
to
I
the member.
protect my member quickly?
Oh, no, honorable member, let me deal with the member. You
Yeah,
cannot
yeah, I
stand
want to
while I'm
assist
still.
you.
No, I'm still addressing the member. If you want to assist me, I think you can converse with your member,
No,
please.
yeah, Chairperson, I want to address you in relation to the ruling that you want to make.
No, honorable member, I'm not going to allow that. It is not you who made this.
Yeah, but I want to
order.
contribute before you make a
No,
ruling.
no, honorable member, that's not how it works. Read your rules. I must finish with the member first, then you can come in.
But I'm allowed to
No,
get
honorable member.
audience before
No.
you make a ruling.
No, honorable member.
I just want to
No, honorable
speak on
member.
behalf of our member.
No.
Then you can make your ruling.
Honorable member, I am dealing with honorable member
Because
who was
if you don't
raising
do
a
so,
statement.
it's criminal.
I'm not going to allow that, Honorable Ndlozi, please. I'm going
I just
to
want
switch
to
off.
assist you.
I'm going to switch off the mic, Honorable Ndlozi.
But I'm
if you
asking
continue
you
to speak.
for an opportunity just to protect the member.
Honorable member, I'm switching off your mic. I'm still talking to honorable member there.
But can we assist you in terms of your ruling, Chairperson?
It's not.
Can you just give us audience? You will make a ruling after.
It's not switching off.
You will make a ruling after.
Honorable Mashabela.
Can you give us an opportunity before you make a ruling?
Honorable Ndlozi, that's not how we do things. You know very well what the rules are saying.
But we just agreed in the programming
Honorable
and the rules
Mashabela,
committee
may
about how
I
to do
address
things.
you? Honorable Mashabela, I
Chair.
said I don't have a problem with the content of your statement. I have a problem with you referring to the president of this country as a thief. And you know that the rules do not allow. So my request to you is please withdraw that statement as it was raised here as a point of order which is sustained.
Oh, thank you, House Chair. House Chair.
But the mic is.
I'm not fighting Zuma.
Honorable member,
I'm just fighting
please.
he's stealing. The
Honorable
stealing
member,
part. I'm not
please.
fighting him. The
Honorable
stealing
member,
part.
please.
But people are suffering here. You are
Honorable
elected
member,
to
I'm going.
service the people.
I don't want
Instead
to
of
engage
servicing the
in a
people,
debate.
You are servicing your pockets.
Honorable, honorable member, I don't want to engage in a debate. No, because I don't want to engage in a debate. Honorable member, I don't want to engage. Honorable Ndlozi, you are interrupting my work. Please take your seat. Honorable member, are you going to withdraw or not?
To withdraw the truth, House Chair.
Honorable
Well,
member,
the mic is off.
Are you
So
going
you are
to
asking me, but the mic is off. Switch on the mic, man. You want me to reply, but the mic is off. Switch it on. Oh, I saw wena. La uzwa man. But you are so called.
He's a constitutional delinquent.
You want me to say something, but the mic is off.
Honorable Mashabela, Honorable Khawula, will you please take your seat? I'll recognize you when I'm done with Honorable Mashabela. Honorable Mashabela, thank you. I asked you before I switched it on, I agree. Are you going to withdraw or not?
Let me tell you. Don't switch off the mic. You want me to?
No, I don't want a debate. I'm asking you whether you are withdrawing or not.
To withdraw the truth.
Order, Chair.
If
To
you are
withdraw
not,
the truth.
Order.
if you say that is the truth,
I said to withdraw
Honorable
the
member,
truth.
please sit. Please
To
sit.
withdraw
I'll
the truth.
recognize you.
To assist you, Chair.
I will. No, I don't want your assistant at this stage. Honorable am I right, Mashabela? Honorable Mashabela, I have asked you several times to withdraw. And you say you won't withdraw because you are speaking the truth.
No, I'm asking you. I said, do you want me to
Honorable,
withdraw the truth?
Okay.
If you want me
Thank
to
you
withdraw,
very much,
you want
Honorable.
me to withdraw the truth?
I'm going to switch off your mic if you continue. Honorable Mashabela,
So,
now having asked you several times to withdraw, and you continue to emphasize the point that is against the rules of this House, I am going to ask you to withdraw from the House.
To withdraw from the House.
Thank you.
But
I have made a ruling, Honorable Ndlozi.
An innocent
I have
member
made
must
a
leave the
ruling.
House.
I'm going to ask you to withdraw from the House.
The thieves are here. Innocent member must leave the House. No. I can't.
Can we just address you
No,
before we go?
it can't be.
May I please have the Sergeant of Arms assisting me in assisting Honorable Mashabela to leave the House?
Chairperson, can we address you?
I'm still dealing with a point of order.
But why can't
Honorable.
you just accept simple procedural points for
Check
the
your
whippery to
rules.
assist you?
Check your rules.
But this House won't degenerate if you assist us to help you. You want to read like a despot, it doesn't help. There is a ruling of the Constitutional Court about the thievery of Mr. Zuma. There is a ruling of the Constitutional Court that he benefited unduly in Nkandla. Why is he paying back the money if he's not a thief? Why is he paying back the money if he's not a thief? No.
Thank you. Honorable Steenhuisen.
Protecting Zuma the thief.
Uzuma lisela.
We'll never withdraw from Zuma as an illegitimate president.
Honorable Steenhuisen, I was just waiting for the honorable members to leave the House.
Madam House Chair, I'm not challenging your ruling. I want to be clear. I'm not challenging your ruling. But I do believe that your ruling was made, and I believe that there was an error made in not allowing the whip on duty or the chief whip there today to raise a point of order. A point of order can be raised at any time, but you had dealt with the point of order that the Honourable Mandela had raised. You had ruled on it. I really think that, and it's a discussion we had yesterday, that you can't execute somebody and then say to somebody afterwards, well, can we argue now whether the person should have been executed or not? I really think that you should at least give the whip on duty, whether it's a chief whip or another whip, an opportunity to put their point of order.
Thank you,
We may not
Honorable.
agree
That
with it,
is
we may not-
noted, but that is not what I have done now. I thank you for that, and we will continue to interrogate that issue that you are talking about. But my ruling has been done. Thank you very much. Honorable Naledi.
Chairperson, I'm not a thief. And you have allowed members of that side to refer to all of us as thieves. The rules are very clear that members should not be allowed to use offensive or unbecoming language. And yet, consistently, the presiding officers allow such use of language and allow members to get away with it. Now, I will write a letter to the presiding officers in this regard, but I think there should be sanctions because the status and dignity of this House is being seriously harmed by the infringements that are permitted by the presiding officers. And I am going to write a letter in this regard that the rules are inadequate insofar as sanctions are concerned. I wish you would speak to your own rather than interfere when I am raising what I think is a very important matter.
Thank you. Noted,
Thank you.
ma'am. Honorable Khadev.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm rising on the issues raised by the Chief Whip of the official opposition. We had to sit back because according to Rule 92, sub 7, they said that no member may raise a point of order before the presiding officer has ruled on the first point of order. So you were correct, Chairperson, that you didn't allow Mr. Ndlozi to interfere with the ruling. Thank you.
Honorable members, I have ruled on this matter.
House Chairperson, may I please address you?
Honorable Member Steenhuisen, please take your seat.
Please may I address you?
I will allow you after I've said what I want to say. Honorable members, according to Rule 92, honorable members, can you please listen to me? According to Rule 92, number 7, it says, and I read, no other member may raise another point of order before the presiding officer has ruled on the first point of order. And this is what I have practiced now. And if there are any dissatisfactions, because the rule is very clear, I think everybody knows what to do. Honorable Pando, in as far as the other members live in the chamber just making noise, sometimes you don't even see who is saying what. But I do take note of what you are saying. Thank you very much. Honorable Steenhuisen.
Madam House Chair, again, let me reiterate, I'm not challenging your ruling. I think that the ruling that you made...
Order, honorable members.
And then you complain when we have to shout to be heard. Look how the minister behaved.
Honorable Steenhuisen, I gave you an opportunity to speak to me.
I can't even hear myself think because the minister...
Honorable members, please, continue, Honorable Steenhuisen.
The Honorable Radebe is right to point to that rule. But the big difference is, and the wording is specific, once you've made a ruling, you had made a ruling.
No.
You made a ruling that it was unparliamentary and she should withdraw. That was your ruling. The ruling had been made. I think that you erred on not allowing
Honorable, thank
right
you. I know
to
to
take
what
the
you are
point of
saying.
order.
I've ruled. I was not done because it was not a continuation of a debate. Let me leave that one. Honorable members, we continue with our...
House Chairperson, may I ask that this is referred to the Rules Committee for a ruling?
You can do that, not myself. Honorable members, we continue. ANC statement.
Thank you.
Honorable Matlala, please, first. You'll come after.
Yes, thank you, Madam House Chair. The ANC
ANC believes it is not the role or responsibility of government alone to bring about services and development in our society. Thus, it commends ESCOM Development Foundation for donating materials to help improve teaching and learning at the Tonga View Primary School near Malelane in Mpumalanga Province. The Tonga View Primary is the only school in the area with learners from grade R to grade 7, and which has always been struggled to accommodate them in their 16 classrooms, which include 3 mobile ones. And as such, the learners and educators of different classes used to share the space, making teaching and learning difficult. The donation entailed the procurement and installation of a 5-door partition to turn the school hall into 2 separate classrooms. With the installation of the fold-aside doors by the ESCOM Foundation, the room can now be used as 2 classrooms, as well as a hall, as and when necessary. This donation from ESCOM has helped to ease overcrowding classes at the school. The ANC appeals to the private sector in particular to emulate what ESCOM has done.
Thank you very much. Your time has expired.
And partner government
Thank
to
you.
make meaningful. Thank you.
IFP.
Thank you very much, Honourable House Chairperson. Following a difficult 2-year process, an announcement was made in the Portfolio Committee on Health yesterday that the Department of Health will soon regulate access to medical cannabis for prescribed health conditions. Yesterday's announcement marked a great step forward for public access and research into the use of cannabis for medical purposes. It was also a great victory for our late colleague, Dr. Mario Orihani Ambrosini, who introduced the Medical Innovation Bill in the midst of his own fight with terminal cancer. Following his death in 2014, the IFP reintroduced this bill to keep this important issue on the table. We pay tribute to our late colleague today, and we say with gratitude that his efforts were not in vain. Today, this is also a victory for every South African suffering from chronic pain or terminal conditions, where other treatment options have failed or have had undecided. We thank the Department of Health for taking up this issue with such passionate concern for our people. What matters now is that the department ensures that access to medical cannabis will not be restricted to the wealthy, but to anyone who needs it, and that anyone will be able to access it. The IFP is proud to have seen MPs across the political spectrum join together for the common good of all South Africans. It shows again that if we stand united in pursuance of a noble cause, South Africa benefits. I thank you.
Thank you. NFP.
Thank you, Honourable House Chair. This being Diabetes Prevention Month, the National Freedom Party calls on government to intervene as the challenges of diabetes and its consequences thereof have reached alarming proportions. Whilst business thrive at the expense of the poorest of the poor, it is time to take action. The display of confectionery, including sweets, chocolates, beverages, etc., at till points is adding to the crisis. We call on government to put in place measures to restrict the display of such goods at till points at the cost of the poorest of the poor. Honourable Chairperson, the cost of diabetes in South Africa is running into billions of rands. And unless urgent steps are taken to stop this scourge of diabetes, what would happen is this: it would become the #1 killer in the world. What unscrupulous traders are doing is displaying this as knowing, playing into the minds of those diabetic who cannot control themselves. Current legislation is inadequate, and unless something is done immediately, the billions of rands that is being spent yearly to deal and to attend to the needs of those patients suffering from diabetes will continue. It affects our workforce, it affects our families, and it has been proven already that diabetes presently being the 7th largest in the world, together with HIV and AIDS and TB, is fast becoming the #1 killer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. ANC.
Thank you, House Chair.
The ANC is committed at improving the coordination and synergy between its government department and all levels of government to ensure an integrated approach to land reform and rural development. As such, it commends the government for signing a service level agreement which will affirm the provision of agricultural land by correctional service to be used for poverty alleviation project for the benefit of communities of Government local municipality in Mpumalanga. This is after the Department of Correctional Service has provided the land for farming or training purposes and other resources within the Petal management area, which will be utilized by CWP of the Department of Cooperative Government, of which the participant in the program will be paid a stipend. The agreement will see parolees benefiting from community work program, receiving training and financial support. Unemployed youth within the Government local municipality will also benefit from the project. The ANC believe that these initiatives will impact positively on poor communities, assist in alleviating the burden placed upon the state to provide social grants to unemployed youth in the country by transferring skills and making them economically productive and self-sufficient by creating sustainable livelihood and fostering community cohesion. I thank you.
Thank you. ACDP.
The Auditor General's report on national and provincial audit outcomes for the 2015-2016 financial year released last Wednesday was very concerning indeed. Auditor General Kimi Makwetu said that irregular expenditure in this last financial year had increased by nearly 80% from 25.7 billion rands to 46.36 billion rands. 2 days after the release of this report, while addressing an ANC cadre forum in Pietermaritzburg, President Zuma was reported to have said that he knew who was stealing public funds and that he was watching the real thieves. The president made these unwise and unfortunate statements at a time when sovereign ratings agencies such as Standard & Poor were on the verge of delivering their next credit rating review. The ACDP is keen to know whether the thieves that the president claims to know and is watching are not among those who have contributed towards the 80% increase of irregular expenditure that the Auditor General referred to in his report. We also want to know why the president has not done what government always tells the citizens to do, which is to report criminal action whenever you see it. Corruption must be reported by all and fought by all, including the president, to ensure that more resources can be made available to be spent on vital areas such as student fees. Nobody has an excuse to be quiet when anybody is breaking the law and stealing. Stealing and breaking the law must be reported by all, including the president. Thank you.
Thank you. ANC Honorable Matale.
Thank you, Speaker. The ANC is pleased with the growing number of young black farmers in South Africa reclaiming their space in the agriculture sector. The recent win of the Toyota Young Farmer of the Year Award for the Eastern Cape, Chile Machuzula, is one of the emerging young black farmers to venture into the tough terrain of commercial farming. Machuzula, who won the Bathurst Conservation Committee's Men Gold Trophy earlier this year and has previously received their Most Improved Farm Award, is making a name for himself in the agricultural circle. Under the guidance of dairy farmer Walter Biggs, the 27-year-old Shilidzi has turned the once neglected Little Bennett, a farm just outside Alexandria, into a roaring success. Using a share milk scheme, he has worked hard to develop the farm, which was sorely lacking in both capital and infrastructure when he started. It is now almost 100% functional, and Shilidzi is a 40% shareholder. Started with 50 cows, and now he's boasting of over 500 cows and has employed 12 full-time staff and 4 part-timers. ANC commends the young Shilidzi on his achievement and how he had transformed the Little Bennett farm over the past 9 years. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. GA.
Siyabonga Sihlalo. The DA has requested that 3 controversial contracts authorized by former SASSA CEO Virginia Peterson be thoroughly investigated by the Hawks. This follows a scope of meeting yesterday relating to 1.1 billion rand in irregular expenditure. Peterson started off by authorizing a 316 million rand payment to CPS for an invoice that should never have been generated in the first place. In doing so, Peterson completely ignored the basic definitions of the supply chain management policy and the contract between SASSA and CPS. Both the Auditor General and Treasury have declared this payment irregular, with Treasury bordering on declaring the payment as fruitless and wasteful expenditure. To make matters worse, Peterson then proceeded to favour various security companies to the value of 414 million rand over 4 years by allowing contracts to roll over when they should have been put out to tender. Finally, CEO Peterson finished off her act by backing a bid by an accounting firm, SAB&T, for a 74 million rand contract, despite being warned by her BAC that the appointment was irregular, a view that was subsequently vindicated by a competent court of law. The DA believes that the stench of criminality clings to Peterson's support of these contracts and procurement processes, and will be urging SCOPA in terms of Rule 245 to officially initiate an investigation into acts of CEO Peterson.
Thank you. EFF, not here. ANC, Honorable Mola.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Hawk sees 5.3 million. The ANC government overall program of national democratic transformation is to gradually eliminate some of the conditions that breed the crime. And once again, the ANC commends the South African law enforcement agencies for a stalling operation, which has led to the arrest of a suspect and seizure of almost 5.3 million in cash, the recovery of several ID documents during the operation in Bella in Cape Town. The said suspect is alleged to be running an illicit licensing and police clearance operation. The ANC adds invoice in support of more police investigations on the matter so that people can be arrested, as there is a possibility that the suspect is not working alone. The ANC believes that the arrest is gradually assisting in making a serious dent to the underworld networks of crime, which have grown in their reach of sophistication across national boundaries. Therefore, urge the law enforcement agencies to be unequivocal in the fight against organized crime, especially as the festive season is approaching. I thank you.
Thank you. Ahang SA.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable members, in view of the state capture, we all know now that our Honorable President Jacob Zuma is pregnant with corruption. He has succeeded in planting a seed of dishonesty and bribes. Honorable Chairperson, we are now led by a cartel.
Honorable Tloyama, please take your seat. Your time is still there. Honorable Inkos Mandela.
The honorable member has just cast aspersion on the president, saying that he is corrupt.
Honorable member, your point of order is sustained. Honorable Tloyama, you know very well that if you have to cast aspersion on any member of this House, you have to do it with a substantive motion. Can you please withdraw before you continue with your statement?
Honorable Chair, I don't know what is he talking about.
Honorable member, I heard you also.
Can I repeat what I said?
No. Honorable member, I heard you. Will you please withdraw before you continue?
Honorable Chair, I withdraw the word corruption. Honorable Chairperson, we are now led by a cartel who have no interest in lifting our people from their suffering. Their interest only is to escape the wrath of the law. Like parasites, they are eating away all public confidence into our institutions. We need to develop a new patriotic consciousness based simply on awareness of the responsibility of leaders to our people. Time is running out. Only the judiciary remain our last frontier. Our president is already shopping for a coffin to bury our constitution, our parliament, and our other institutions. Our country should not die with the administration of Honorable President Zuma. We must, in 2019, stop these leaders who rule by deception and lies. We must vote out these unredeemable, unrepentant leaders for the sake of generations to come. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
ANC. Yes, ma'am.
ANC seeks to ensure that our nation achieves the values of a caring society inspired by the traits of human compassion. Thus, welcomes its Gauteng provincial government's will to assist the residents of Enedale, south of Johannesburg, who have been displaced after a tornado hit the area, leaving one person injured and homes destroyed. However, though with limited resources, of most affected by the tornado are the school children, and the Gauteng Department of Education has been roped in to assist them. The ANC is thanking the NGOs, the churches, for the assistance in the time of need, and also calls upon private sector and South Africans who can donate to do so. The ANC believes this will assist in consolidating partnerships across society, strengthen social cohesion, cooperation among all South Africans. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Member DA.
Thank you, House Chairperson. It really is quite pathetic to watch the ANC squirm and squeal trying to deal with its hurt after it lost 3 metros in August's election. Hundreds of thousands of South Africans are choosing the Democratic Alliance over the ANC and putting their trust in us to deliver a better life for the poor and to manage public money without stealing it. So lost in Hurtfontein are the ANC that they are now resorting to complete fabrication and shamelessly exploiting the poor for their own gain. Here are the facts in the matter relating to the eviction of some residents in Woodstock in Cape Town. The decision was made by a high court. It was a case between the landlords and the tenants. It had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the city of Cape Town. And in fact, the city was praised by the court for going to lengths to try and help the tenants involved and to try and negotiate a stay for them. So the DA calls on the ANC to try slightly harder to hide its sheer panic and desperation and to focus a little more on governing the country.
The ANC. Yes, Honourable Member.
The ANC congratulates the Hotel Verde in Cape Town for winning the Global Award in the Urban Accommodation category at the 15th Annual SCAL International Sustainable Tourism Award held in Monaco recently. The owners, management and staff at Hotel Verde are commended for setting a leading example of how green hospitality should be achieved. The hotel applies innovative principles to ensure that the infrastructure, maintenance and operations are green. Hotel Verde has helped South Africa to position itself as an environmental friendly, sustainable tourism destination that appeals to ecological conscious travelers. The ANC urges other tourist attractions to follow the lead and uphold the high standards of responsible tourism as set by Hotel Verde. This will enhance our destination and contribute even further to the fantastic growth in tourism arrivals in South Africa has experienced this year, putting tourism in a better position to support more jobs and economic activity in the future. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. This concludes the member statements. I will now ask Honourable Ministers, if any, that would like to make statement. Honourable Surti. Honourable Surti.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. I would like to respond to two of the statements that have been made. The one in relation to the state-of-the-art school built in Libode, and to share with the House that Libode is a recipient of 42 state-of-the-art schools that have, most of which have already been built in the particular area, and that has made a huge difference. The Department of Basic Education, through the ASIDI program, has now delivered more than 171 state-of-the-art schools to various provinces, particularly the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape. The Western Cape has already received delivery of 22 state-of-the-art schools. The second issue that I would like to raise is the issue raised by the Honorable Davis. If at all we were to say, Honorable Chairperson, that the highest incidence of gangsterism, violence, corporal punishment occurs in the Western Cape, do we say by extension that the Department of Education in the Western Cape is responsible for that misconduct? It would absolutely be wrong and a false premise. I would like to urge the Honorable Member to take into account that nowhere has the leadership of SATU condoned irregularity, condoned undue influence, condoned theft or malfeasance in terms of the administration. The view of the Department of Basic Education, and particularly the Minister, is that it does not matter which quarter the dishonesty comes from, it has to be dealt with. So if any member from SATU or any other organization is responsible, then he or she must be dealt with the full might of the law. And that has been the position. However, the Honorable Davis says, notwithstanding the fact that the report refers to officials, to governing bodies, and other teacher unions, that this report is exclusively about SATU. SATU indeed does represent the vast majority of educators who are responsible for the professional service of rendering quality education to our people. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Honorable Nkwinti.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I wish to comment briefly on the Honorable Member from Mpumalanga and Honorable Matala. Thank you very much for raising the point, Honorable Member. That's becoming the story, Honorable Chair. I know there are so many bad things that are said about agriculture and land, but that's becoming the story. Chile, Honorable Matala is talking about Chile. You know, we've got families here. That's the story he's talking about, Alexandria Farmer. It's a young fellow. He started as a teenager there. And the Biggs family, like in Free State, there's Mukachani family. These are families, one there in Alexandria, and the other one in Northwest, rather in Free State. They're helping young people. One family, Biggs family, is a white family, Mukachana black families. They're doing exactly the same thing, helping young farmers to become commercial farmers. But of course, Honorable Chair, let me invite honorable members of the House. Firstly, last night, some members might have seen some stand here in the Western Cape. Very good example. But next week, on the 10th of next month, please come and join us at Soms Delta, yes, Franschhoek, to see where the workers there have come together with the former owners, constituted a new company that's owned by the former workers and the former owner. That's the story of South Africa. It's becoming the story. That's the story last night. If you watched TV last night, that's what you would have seen. Some of the shareholders there are Europeans. They come from overseas. They're not just South Africans, but that's the story we want to sell about our country. It's a good story to tell. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Oliphant.
Angibonge sihlalo wendlu. Sihlalo wendlu ngifisa ukuthi mhlawumbe njengamalunga lendlu ke sithi uma sikhuluma nge-wasteful and irregular expenditure sikhulume ngayo in line with what is in the PFMA, not as if imali intshontshiwe. For example, wasteful expenditure under a compensation fund by AG. That particular money was paid based on the order of the court, and it was not budgeted for by the department. And we can't budget as a department, particularly compensation, to say how many people abazolimala ngaleso sikhathi. If inkantolo iti asibhadale, we have to pay. And therefore, akungabi ne-assumption yokuthi i-wasteful or irregular expenditure imali entshontshiwe. Umsebenzi wethu njengamalungu eParliament uqondisa abantu ukuthi leyo mali isuke ikhokhwe ngoba ibingabhajethelwanga. Ngiyabonga sihlalo.
Ngiyabonga lungu ehloniphekile. Ngabe basekhona abanye ongqongqoshe abafisa ukuba nezincomo nezimpendulo kuloko okushiwo? Bakhona abanye ukuthi nje abaphakamisanga isandla lungu ehloniphekile. Ngiyabonga. Sesifikeleleke esiphethweni sezimpendulo nezincomo zabongqongqoshe. Order, honorable members. I wish to make a ruling based on the point of order that was raised on the 25th of August 2016 and the subsequent decision by the presiding officer at the time to investigate the matter. At the joint sitting of Parliament on 25th August 2016, and as a subsequent sitting of the National Assembly, various members of the Assembly rose on points of orders regarding the validity of the membership of the National Assembly of Ms. Mabe. The basis of these points of order was that the member has been sworn in as a municipal councillor. I undertook to investigate the matter and report to the House. The matter has since been investigated and legal advice was sought. The position is that Ms. Mabe has ceased to be a member of the National Assembly. Both Ms. Mabe and her party have been informed of this position. I thank you, honorable members. Order, honorable...
Madam House Chairperson.
Order, honorable members.
Madam
Honourable
House Chair,
Steenhuisen.
thank you for the ruling. I'd just like to seek clarity from you on what date, from what date was Ms. Mabe declared not a councillor in terms of your investigation?
Well,
not a member, not a member.
Thank you, honorable member. I will actually address that because legally they were still looking at the date, whether is it the date of the declaration of the results or is it the date of which she was sworn in. So there was division amongst lawyers about which is the date. So we will come back once that clarity has been sought. We will inform members accordingly. Thank you very much. Order, honorable members, we now move to the last item on the order paper, which is notices of motion. Does any member of the ANC wish to give a notice of motion? Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, House Chair. I move on behalf of ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates ways to enhance our systems of border control and improve the capacity of our defense force and intelligence agencies to secure the integrity of our nation state. I thank you.
DA.
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that in the light of the critical drought our country is experiencing and many of our storage dams having dropped to below 35%, this House debates plans on how to mitigate a looming disaster.
ANC. Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, House Chair. I move on behalf of the ANC that on its next sitting, the House debate the mechanism geared at fast-tracking the provision of water and sanitation services, particularly for those from previously disadvantaged communities. I thank you.
Thank you, the ANC. Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, House Chair. I move on behalf of the ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates mechanisms geared at lessening the impact of HIV/AIDS epidemic and the associated tuberculosis epidemic on workers despite significant progress being made over the past 15 years. I so move.
Thank you, IFP.
Ngiyathokoza sihlalo egameni leqembu elikhulukazi inkatha yenkululeko yesizwe. I shall move at the next sitting of the House that the House, noting the increase in the proliferation of music piracy, therefore that the House debate the negative impact of this crime on the music sector and the entertainment industry and determine ways and means to curtail this pandemic crime to protect the sector and the industry. I so move. Ngiyathokoza sihlalo.
Ngiyathokoza nami ngiyabona amalunga ahloniphekile ayahleka cha amalunga ahloniphekile ubukhulu ngobukhulu kuya nanokuthumiphi.
Hayi indlovu enkulu ngempela sihlalo.
NFP. No one from the NFP. ANC.
Thank you, Chairperson. I move on behalf of the ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates ways to make non-compliance with the recommendations of the Auditor General report a punishable offense. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you, UDM.
Thank you very much, House Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the United Democratic Movement that at its next sitting, the House discusses or debates the proliferation of private basic education schools and its impact on our basic education system in South Africa. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you. Freedom Front Plus. The DA.
Thanks, Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the sustained failure of ANC municipalities to spend the 15% municipal infrastructure grant allocated for sports facilities. I so move.
Thank you, ANC.
Thank you, House Chair. I move on behalf of the ANC that in its next sitting, the House debate measures aimed at addressing the challenge of fraudulent and incompetent teachers that is crippling South Africans' basic education. I thank you.
Thank you. COPE. They're not here. ACDP. They're not here. ANC.
I move on behalf of the ANC that in its next sitting, the House debates the prioritization of the establishment of special needs schools for specific disabilities.
Order, Honorable Nkwankwa, are you rising on a point of order?
Ewe mama ndifuna ukuthi zonke ezibhadi zingekhoyo ixesha lazo belelazicinisa i-UDM asinawulisebenzisa.
Cha, lungehloniphekile savumelana ukuthi kwezi zincomo asikwazi ukunikezelana ngamaxesha. Sasivumelene ke kula komiti eyakha uhlelo lokuhambiswa kwendlu phecelezi ama rules. AIC. Nchaisa.
Honorable Chairperson, on behalf of AIC, I hereby move that this House, in its next sitting, debates the plight of the farm workers and the possible intervention from the government. Thank you very much. I so move.
Thank you, Ahang SA. Aibo Kameni.
On behalf of Arang SA, I hereby move that this House in its next sitting debates banning or removing of all civil servants who are convicted of corruption and also from doing business with government.
Thank you, ANC. APC. PAC. DA.
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the necessity of an ongoing year-long campaign to highlight and remedy the plight of marginalized women and children in our society.
Thank you, ANC. Honorable members, this concludes notices of motion and the business for the day. The House is adjourned.